right, y'all. If there's an extra glare, just bear with me today. But this is episode 109. We only have one more episode for the finale, but it is here. Like the action is moving, the suspense is pushing along just fine. Things are making real sense at the courtroom, in the jailhouse, but not exactly with the kids. Shout out to Mary J for rolling up on Professor Milgram, Carrie Milgram. Normally I'm all for it. Her acting just doesn't land for me in this show. It did when she went to go chin check Carrie Milgram. It's like, this ain't up for debate. I know what this is. It felt authentic and it felt real, but her wardrobe is always on top, on point. So I don't know if she has personal input on that or if Courtney Kemp and the crew just decides this is what it's going to be. But here's my review of what's going on. We open up with reviewing Frankenstein. And we see Zeke is in the bed with Professor Milgram. She's staring at his bruises, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, y'all tell me, I have watched all 9 episodes. At any point, did you know Carrie Milgram to be a prosecutor before tonight? Because I did not. And I'll tell you this much. Ain't no way. Like, Zeke can be green. God knows I'm green. But Zeke, hearing everything Professor Milgram, oh, well, just tell me, I trust you, you trust me, blah, blah, blah. I get that from a lover's position. Like, I'm trusting you with my entire career, not for something to go left. So why don't you just trust me with what happened and let me know what occurred? So he lets her know some GTG dudes threatened him outside the club. Now, this is where I question, dude, did you not know she was a prosecutor beforehand? Look, no disrespect for professors, no disrespect for anyone at the education level of academia. Either you have a PhD or you're working on your terminal degree. However, prosecutors wake up, just like defense attorneys, just like investigators like Paula. You wake up not with a healthy suspicion, but with an intelligence, a curiosity that's there, intellectual curiosity, actually. And I've had to been labeled this a few times. And I tell people, I ain't trying to get in your business. I don't care. I really don't. But when your story doesn't add up to me, that's when I follow up with more questions. Like, okay, so how did this... And I've had friends say they can't introduce me to another friend because her story doesn't add up. And I'll be the one, so wait a minute now, you finished with your MD and PhD in this amount of time at this university, and your child is... So connecting the dots is something that I guess is naturally there. But if it's not, honey, they will try and train you on a whole nother way. So to hear Carrie Milgram take his notice and then try and convince him he needs to go to the cops. What? This boy just told you, my family, we don't go to the cops. This ain't what we do. If nothing else, Carrie Milgram can't be that kind of slow where she didn't see who Aunt Monet was. And look, I ain't never trying to be the hoodest person or I know the streets. However, I can tell when a certain class of money walks up on me, when style walks up on me, when a finesse walks up on me. Sometimes. Most times I'm oblivious to all things. I'm like, you just got to tell me. And people don't. But I know this much. Monet carries herself like, you know what, like Tasha James wanted to be. I'm that chick. I'm part of the empire. And in part of that empire, this is what it looks like for me. All right, so we move on to the cops show up on campus. And it's your sexy boy who used to be on the Megan Good show on NBC, where he was helping her as a detective, former officer, figure out who killed her best friend or the person she grew up with. And it's so exciting to see him working, or that, you know, Courtney keep people working that matters, and how he cycled in and out. Deception was the show. Now that's the show we all need to get together and have people bring back. Okay, so if you can't see my mouth, I'm sorry. I had to look down and Google so I can give you Laz Alonso. So she switches out one good looking brother for another, basically. They don't ever have a hard time finding good looking men on this show. But I will admit, it was good to see them play both sides of the coin. Because he was serious in his position as a detective. Oh, well, this is not a student at this Ivy League school. He is from this background, and they profiled him. He's a hood dude. This is what we're looking for. We want to meet with kids that could possibly interact with him. Jabari picked up on him. Dr. Jabari was like, hold on. You can't be just out here profiling, talking about we only going to talk to the black and brown kids. This is what we're introduced that professor with tenure, Carrie Milgram, was a former prosecutor. Like, I guess the head provost or the dean was there to introduce her background. And that calmed the detective down a little bit to feel like, okay, you're on my side. Y'all don't understand how much police and prosecutors, assistant state's attorneys for those in Illinois, assistant district attorneys if you're in other places, ADAs and ASAs. I mean, they feel like, forget two sides of the same coin. No. They're like peas in a pod for real. And you have to watch them, because we've had it where DAs have set up stings with the police and the ADA walked around like she was the prostitute. Are you kidding me? For sex work? Okay. Of all things. But that further tells you how limited the crime must be when you out here setting up stings for prostitution. It's other stuff to deal with. We got real problems and real property crimes. If nothing else, prostitution ain't gonna be it. Let that be a health issue. And then let's pick up the Johns. So anyway, going back to Alonzo is the detective. Jabari shuts it down. The dean steps in and says Carrie can work as a mediator. Your boy who was over the canonical studies, the Caucasian elder professor, is like, look, you know what? It is a bit untoward that you're racially profiling these students. Jabari's hollering, y'all ain't learned nothing from this summer. Cops gonna be cops. I don't know what y'all expect. I don't even know why we portray it any other way. It doesn't matter the race. Look at Nigeria and the SARS situation. It doesn't matter where they're physically located. Look at France and the police against the people. It doesn't matter about race. I mean, it does when we get to the States. It does when you get to places they're not accustomed to. They're a real homogenous group like the Koreas or the Japan, and then you show up and you're the oddball. Yeah, of course, profiling happens, but that's not even just limited to police. That's human nature. But when you get into these tropes of, I don't like y'all just picking on our kids like that, and then they decide, oh, well, Carrie can be the mediator. She was a former prosecutor. She'll let the students come talk to her anonymously, and she'll decipher what information she would relay to you. Does that work? He's like, okay. Jabari jumps in. I was like, I don't understand where we're going with this with Dr. Jabari. You think she's sleeping with a student. Now you just against whatever man shows up, but you go out here knocking off these kids. It's like the typical man. But in this instance, it's not exactly, I don't want you and I don't want anyone else to have you. He wants her and wants no one else around. It's like, why you acting like a 3-year-old? Just watch it play itself out. If she's sleeping with a student, hell, that's to your benefit. At some point, that child graduates, leave town, whatever the case may be. So you get to watch it unfold, and you be right there to swoop in and pick it up and collect her if she needs that. I don't know why they're not playing that angle, but so be it. Let's move along to now we cut to Tariq is still beefing with Braden, his roommate, but Monet has given him real bricks. And everybody's looking, Deanna and Drew, Mom, that's not our right shipment, blah, 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 blah. That's what Rico sent. Or whomever they got is what they got, so that's what they... Oh, Rico hadn't sent the shipment, so they got what they could. So now they got to sell Coke. Tariq looking like, ugh, the block is hot right now on campus. The cops are around because of that killing in the pool that Kane did, let you tell it. So what you want me to do? And of course, she looking at it like a real empire dope dealer, which is... I don't care, my nigga. Make the sales. So excuse me, but that N-word was conveyed in her movement, in her eyes, in her delivery. It's like, it's what it is. Make a sale. So Braden and Tariq figure out they'll use Effie. Yale can push it and sell it at a higher, remember that airport price. So I was like, oh, look at that. But that was a lot of bricks. I don't know drugs like that. And even when I first started learning drugs, we used to I would go to the website, and this was, back before Google really popped. And I would Yahoo search, the weights, because I didn't understand don't even get me started on the metric system and, how we used to have our standard of measurements. But Coke and crack always threw me. So I would have to ask friends, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? It's no different than one time I worked as a front desk receptionist for a salon, and I had to call my mama to learn how to make coffee in an automated machine. And I know somebody's going to make fun. How old are you not to know how to make coffee? I was at least 27. But here's the point. At home in Louisiana, we still make it on the stovetop. And it's chicory. And it's like the layered. And it's the fresh ground beans are there. And it's steamed. And how it percolates. It's done. I mean, you can start singing the Percolator song out of Chicago. I like it. I really do. I love how they come together to dance to that song. But back to the show. Monet pushing that coke on Tariq gets a resolution. He goes to meet with Effie, but he realizes after discussing Frankenstein in the classroom, that the little blondish street girl, the goody goody girl, she'll never really understand what he's about, his environment, because she does make the argument that, people are in jail for reasons that they belong to be there. Yeah, we may have false prosecutions and it may be a racial disparity instance. There's a black student, male student, who brings that up. And your loudmouth girl talks about, I think, Brew, but I thought it was Cam. Whatever. I didn't write her name down. At this point, though, she tries to explain to Tariq, look, I don't think your mama deserved to be in jail. I'm just was going against her so I can keep vying for my position to stay on the team. Professor Jabari's squad, whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's understood. Just stay away from me. He talks to Effie and he realizes, look, I ain't trying to be no monster, but I feel like that's what I am. That's what's going on here. And the goal of what he discusses with Frankenstein is, it's not that the man puts together the Frankenstein makes him the monster. It's how he treats him. And honestly, I appreciate them putting this in there, because if you have any notion of psychology, psychotherapy, mental behavioral health, it is always, people come in formed. Yes. Environments have an impact. What that means when I say environments, how parents talk to you, how adults in your life talk to you, how people you revere speak to you, speak down to you, speak life into you, speak death into you. Yeah, them last two is some real Southern stuff. My sister-in-law caught me with that one day. We speak life around here. I was like, oh, I didn't think I was speaking death. I don't know what that means. And it was just to acknowledge that I have a little nephew that really at that age, he was super young, like 2 or 3, hanging upside down on the sofa, like whistling to get her attention. I was like, baby, he gonna be able to compete with them West Side Chicago kids. He gonna make it. See, I even saying stuff like that. But let's go back to Star's Powerbook goes. Here's the thing. Effie's like, you gotta accept it. I accepted I was a monster when I turned you in at choke. So what is gonna be? With that being said, she kisses on the cheek. I guess he ponders over it some more. We get Epiphany. I do enjoy whenever Epiphany shows up. But this is how it happens. AUSA Sax and Method Man. At some point, I should know Method. Is it Dallas? I don't know. But Method Man get together. It's not going like they needed to. He's told Tariq, because Tariq called like, hey, my granny needs some money, so I can't pay you this week. Is that going to be okay? And he was like, yeah, I can just push it off to next week and cancel your expert witness. Paula in the back, like, what expert witness? The investigator. So Paula has it in her mind. Look, I may be your side chick, but you're going to respect me professionally and personally by not ever lying to me. So Tasha was able to play on that eventually, because Tariq relays it to Tasha. Yo, Davis got you an expert witness. And she like, I don't know nothing about that. Who is this expert witness? She asks about it. He ain't got nothing to say. He even stops Paula from talking. Tasha somehow gets Paula to come back and go, you know what? I never thought you'd lie to me. And you hadn't lied to me until today. What? No, I didn't. So she's like, yeah, you did. Who's my expert witness? He called her Dr. Epiphany. I don't even remember Epiphany's last name at this point. But it was hilarious. Like, Dr. Epiphany. Child, my client from daycare. I love how she embodies that role. Look, that is acting. And I know some people are going to be like, I know girls like that. She ain't got to act hard. Well, that may not be her character. So she's in character and she has a method acting process going. And she does a good job. Paula is called out by Tasha like, you know what? You sound like me. Well, how this going to work out? Because I was still defending my husband when he cheated on me. Even when I first found out. Then his side chick, Angela, started defending him and lying for him. And look what they end up. She's dead and I'm in prison fighting for my life. I was like, oh. When you frame it like that, yeah. James St. Patrick is a doozy, a heel of a scallywag. Like, this is a lot. And I was always for that trio of just making it work. Because James always had a plan of action and he tried to execute it. Everybody thought well and methodically. So I was okay with it. But once you hear it broken down and drilled just that basic, yeah, Paula, girl, what you lying for him for? He don't care about you like that if he lying to you. And that's where the issue comes. That's where the principle kicks in. So Paula walks off and with the message from Tasha to let Tariq know. The same thing you did to Slim, you need to make sure that happens with Epiphany. And he reads between the lines. I expected Slim to be Kanan, But then at some point I was like, well, maybe it was jukebox. But I'm going to trust it's Kanan. Moving along, we go to Sax calling with Method Man to the front door of Epiphany's oversized mansion. Somebody's in a car shooting long angle photos of them at the door. They go inside and they ask Epiphany all these questions. This your house? How you got? Do you rent or you own it? I'm like, dang, Sax. You know what? I have had people roll up on me in certain places and go, how much you pay for this? If you don't mind me asking. But at least they give that clause, if you don't mind me asking. Ooh, this is nice. How much this cost? You get it. There's a front sub clause there. And then on that prior one, there's an end clause. And I oblige people and tell them, because I do want folks to know, what I got, you can do too. It's not hard. It's not difficult. This has nothing to do with, what you think. It has to be a 900 credit score and all this kind of crazy stuff. It's a process. It's documentation, and I always try and encourage that even with traveling. But back to Sax. So, Method Man, she's enamored with and thinks, you fine. I'm going to talk to you. And he's like, well, this white boy ain't for play either. But he doesn't give her his position. He does explain, Sax got pulled. So he can get my charges dropped. I ain't mad at Epiphany. Because you don't want to lose your child. Apparently it's her third strike. I was like, ooh, third strike. And it's some dope. Is high enough to be considered intent for distribution. Ooh, Epiphany. I felt bad for her. But anyway, we learned this is her side piece house while him and his wife is in the Hamptons. She stayed there. So Sax is like, I can't drop the charges, but I can get them massage for this testimony. They coach her what to say. It seems really nonchalant. It really seems, no big deal. I did question, how is Epiphany going to run this by Tasha to ask, yo, is this okay? We ultimately get to see, though, Tariq rolls up on Epiphany and goes in with the task of murdering her. Chooses not to when she talks out loud and says, I don't feel right about this, but your lawyer told me that you was okay with this and that Tosh know about this, but I just wish I didn't have to be involved. If I had some money, I would just disappear. And so we see the saving grace through Tariq showing he's not a monster. That he really, although just sold the product, it's Monet's money, we know how this is supposed to go, he's willing to give it to Epiphany so she can bounce. I'm confused why he give her that much. You could have gave her half. Something, but hey, whatever. I don't know how much it takes to escape and run away with the kid, but I do know how much it takes to relocate, and I've done that twice with a whole family. So, whatever. At this point, I do appreciate Epiphany saying, when Tariq asks her, you here alone? Yeah, this my old man place, we know. But he cheating with his wife in the Hamptons. But I leave little stuff around. It's our game we play. I was like, I don't know who writes Epiphany, but they do a good job throwing in little nuggets of fun when she shows up on the screen. It's never boring, is the point. He leaves Epiphany. Tasha calls, like, what's going on? Because she never showed up in court. Everybody wants to know what's happening. I can acknowledge they did a good job in court when the judge had the juries dismissed and had an attitude. Baby, when they send the jury out, it's real. But it's supposedly so that it's not prejudicial against those who are there as the defendant, It's the petitioner's game, but your respondent, the defendant, is going to have an issue. Because people take that as, that must be something wrong about your case. Paula did some little internal research and was able to tell, just to back it up, able to tell Tasha, Dr. Epiphany is going to be the expert witness. And they explain that. And then Tasha gives in the nerve, So we got that. She doesn't show. Now Method Man and Sax go in the bathroom and talk. Sax feels like Method Man double-crossed him and messed him over, and that's why Epiphany is gone. And he's like, why would I? This case has everything to do with this. You've messed me over. So now he's hot and telling Paula, look, I'm trying to keep you out of this. That's why I didn't tell you nothing about this. And she's like, no, you need to tell me everything now, because I could have told you. If you was really sharing things with me instead of your wife like that, and she points to his ring, then I would have told you. Sax is not to be trusted. Don't even make no double deal with him. So now we get the story. Method Man Davis. Attorney Davis knows Tariq killed his father, got it on video, and they're working together to get Tasha off and don't care about Tariq. Paula questions how all of this is playing out. Sax shows Method Man those pictures of them meeting with Epiphany at the door. And like the state's attorney or federal attorney, or the DNC attorney, Well, he's just an attorney, but the DNC guy explained, look, these pictures can go either way. It shows, if nothing else, and Sax was right, it shows unethical actions on both parties. And honey, that's worth a complaint with the Board of Regulations or whomever the professional responsibility license regulation is. And boom. What Davis knows is, even if it got out and he got to keep his license, what client is going to pay you that kind of money when they know you'll double cross them by working with the state in such a cozy, unconventional way? So he has a lot on the line here, and that's why he feels like the betrayal is imminent and has already happened. Sax is like, yo, you messed me over. This is what we going to do. The DNC guy is like, okay, Sax, what you going to do now because your witness hasn't shown up? Sax like, can you just sit down and shut the F up and leave me alone? Let me handle this. And guess what? He handled it. He called Tariq as a witness to the stand. Now I was confused, but they hurry up and addressed it. Tariq wasn't listed on the witness list. So I'm shocked, like, okay, we just going to allow that? I understand under these conditions, Epiphany is lost, so yeah, we would. But y'all, the previews for next week show Tariq in an all burgundy suit, undershirt, like he in a 1990s, early 2000s Steve Harvey 99.99 suit or K&G menswear suit. I'm just like, yo, break that up. Yeah, I got a burgundy suit. Don't think I haven't worn it and wore it proudly. But it don't look good. I understand in 2020. So it's like, yo, break that up. And I could get away with it because I can be like, oh, I'm just a government employee. What you think? I got money for all these high-end suits? Be happy I ain't embarrassing you. Because honestly, the way you present yourself in court does impact how people see you for your client. You look disheveled, poor, and struggling, they think your client is just as guilty. Yes, let's be real. Money breeds contempt for some people, but money also gives security and thought to multiple people. Not that they have it, just the appearance. Like they hear a lawyer and think, you should drive this vehicle, you should have this phone, everything should be top notch and over the top. And you have to help people see, honey, I'm nonprofit. Honey, I'm with the state. You know, it's so many different levels to this. You don't just walk in like the poorest doctor working in the prison system still making good money. No, and I still got student loans. So moving along, back to the show. With us noticing now, Paula has helped Tariq by giving him information on the case to show this is what Davis has against you. You need to get an attorney. You are being called to the stand. This is basically, she served him. I didn't get why she served him the subpoena. Let Sax get that over there. At any rate, she said, he questioned, why are you helping me? Because I don't work for Davis anymore. And I want you to beat him. I was like, oh, touche. Tariq wasn't slow. He went and got Tameka. Tameka immediately asked, give me $1. I'm tired of that trope. We need more than $1, and we do need some paperwork. But anyway, did you kill your father? So she did give him a disclaimer. Everything you tell me is privilege. But I did question, you know, although Tasha fired her, and of course she keeps whatever Tasha told her privilege as well too. How does that, I mean, there's no conflict. She could still represent him, but if she chose not to, she could argue, no, it's a conflict. I can't represent you and be on the way. But eager she is to handle this. So I can't wait to see how she's going to play it off next week. Shout out to Miss Tameka for wearing those 6-inch heels on that cobblestone. I don't know how you do it, girl, because when it shows up in New Orleans, I take my time. And y'all, she was marching like, I'm going to the Supreme Court to handle Brown versus Board. Or some new legislation piece that we need to argue about. That ain't me. With that, Tasha is stressed out because Tariq does just abruptly hang up phone calls. Tariq goes over to Monet's, describe he doesn't have all her money. We see cut to Kane with a bunch of dope from the GTG boy dropping off. He's like, this Monet shipment. How you get this? Rico said, this what we getting. So he picked it up, put it together. Rico is out to knock off Monet. He's getting rid of her. He calls. Monet don't answer because she's busy with a gun upside Tariq's head. And everybody's like, Mom, think about it. Diana is really advocating. He know people. He connected. He got family. Even Drew is like, you got to process this. Don't do it. This is where it's going to get interesting. Tariq has some guilt and shame. Like, you know what? Knock me off. I understand the consequences of not having the money. And I'm okay with that. So this is what I'm going to do. Take my lick. So Monet is still standing there. She questions, what about your father? That blew me. Because Tariq didn't say something substantial about his father. He just said, for all the things he's done to his mother, you know, his family. And he's flashing back in his head. We see how he even interacted with his sister. And basically she came up dead because of him. Kane arrested and dead because of him. And it plays well, but I didn't see this. So either way, Rico and them show up. Kane is on the way. But Rico and them show up. Why they ain't got out the car yet? Why they sitting there? Monet, get down. The time in there was a little off. Hey, don't worry. We follow along. They lay on the floor while they shoot up the place. They never shoot down, up the whole way along all the glass. At any rate, Drew decides, well, I'm going to get up and go get a gun. What you going to do with a gun when they got Mac 10s and Uzis coming from the car? Like, come on now. I ain't even about that life. But even if you went and got something, unless it's a bazooka, even if you got a bazooka. So not only does he stand up and start walking to the back as Moye tell him not to, y'all, even I know. Bear crawl, bruh. I ain't never been in the military, but even I know bear crawl. He ain't do none of that and got shot. He got shot in the right shoulder, though, and it looked like a clean exit wound. Yeah, I saw all this, if you want to ask. But I was just like, why is he worried about him dying from being shot? I know, don't get it started. I know you can get shot in some of the most random places and still come up dead. It's your time, it's your time. But this ain't it. It's TV, so it's like, whatever. Then Kane shows up. Mary J is hot. Why you ain't one here? So I'm like, okay, she's upset. But that to me should have been the ticking or the lead for Kane to go from here on out. The hell what you talking about? I'm going to do what I'm going to do, which is keep showing up and keep handling business. Now, she has told everybody throughout this whole episode, we don't say his name around here. He ain't with us no more. Goes to the hospital. She blames, him for being Drew dying. Diana come out like, Mom, what you so worked up for? Drew is going to make it. She tell Kane don't ever come around no more. And I'm looking like, you dead and all this other stuff. Or I'm going to handle you myself. And he does question, Mom, your son too. Now, this is where we got to go back to that monster being formed. His father's behavior towards him. Y'all, that's traumatic. You don't beat your son. You don't have somebody else beat your son up. Your mother's drama towards you. And I mean, it is real severe trauma. Not only because you're pulling a gun to his head, but the words and the viciousness that comes with it is harsh. And I'm somebody who's considered harsh. And I'm telling you, ooh, it's kind of tough. And so he calls over her lover to meet. And of course, he takes his anger out on the lover. And he kills him. Back alley. He's like, you don't want to do this. It's already done. Pop, 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 pop. Clearly, he was taking out his frustration for Monet on that poor man. We cut to Tariq. Tariq has been told, you kept Diana alive. Cool. But you still owe, we still got business to handle behind that money you owe me. All right. For now, no one knows any wiser at the school who did what and why they involved. But your girl, Professor Milgram, even after she got threatened by Monet, told the detective, about Zeke being harassed after the game by GTG. I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay, so I guess we're going to have to watch this play out that she knows how to finesse and manage things because she was a former prosecutor. All I can say is Jabari said it best. Nothing came up of importance or consequence to me, and that's that. But when it came down to Professor Milgram, it was like, well, tell me, then we'll decide. And I'll decide if that was occurring. As of this point, I look forward to the season finale. Let me know what you think in the comments. Ask questions or answer my question because I got several. Question number one, what is it really the deal with Carrie Milgram being a former prosecutor? And why are we just not getting that now? Maybe it was said earlier and I missed it. Let me know. Maybe it happened. I don't know. Zeke is not that green. I understand he's not involved in the family business like that, but he could have came up with a reason why he couldn't stay at Monet's even that night. No, I got to be back on campus. Here's why. Number 3, the fact that Jabari is still chasing after this Carrie. What is there to win here? Go write your book, my dude. Go pop off over there. She already told you she don't want you like that. Is it just that he got rejected and he feels some kind of way? All right, y'all have a great